We all wake up with the same 24 hours. Yet somehow, some people make it look easy. They're productive, focused, energized, like they've cracked the code to life. And then there are days when the rest of us can barely keep up. What if I told you it's not about working harder? It's about starting smarter. Welcome to Smarter Every Day, Habits to Sharpen Your Mind and Transform Your Life by Nolan Kade. This isn't another flashy self-help book promising miracles in a week. This is a science-backed roadmap to building habits that actually stick, habits that start your day with purpose, power your mind with clarity, and help you take control of your life, one intentional choice at a time. Whether you're a busy parent, an entrepreneur chasing dreams, a student juggling deadlines, or someone who just wants to feel more in charge of your life, this book is for you. Inside, you'll discover the morning routines used by high performers to win the day before noon. How to train your brain for laser focus, even in a world full of distractions. The secret to building momentum that carries you through tough times. And how small, consistent habits compound into massive life changes. Becoming smarter every day doesn't mean being perfect. It means being intentional. It means choosing habits that shape your mindset, your decisions, and ultimately, your destiny. So ask yourself this. What could your life look like if you started mastering your mornings? What if every day, you got just a little bit sharper, stronger, and smarter? Subscribe now and let Smarter Every Day be your blueprint to building the life you want, one smart habit at a time. Welcome to Smarter Every Day. Chapter 1. Build a solid morning routine that drives focus. If you want to unlock your full potential every single day, start by looking at how you spend the first hour after waking up. Most people treat their mornings like a blur of half-conscious decisions, snoozing the alarm, reaching for their phone, scrolling mindlessly, and rushing through breakfast, if they eat at all. But this common pattern sets the tone for a distracted, reactive day. You're not starting with intention, you're playing catch-up before the day even begins. Smart people know that a strong morning routine is the foundation of mental clarity, emotional control, and long-term success. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters most, first. A well-crafted morning routine gives you space to breathe, focus, and prepare yourself for whatever the day brings. Why morning routines matter? Your brain is like a powerful computer, and how you boot it up in the morning determines its performance throughout the day. If you start by bombarding it with notifications, emails, and social media updates, you're essentially launching dozens of programs at once, overloading your system and slowing down your processing speed. But if you give your brain time to warm up with meaningful, low-stress activities, like stretching, journaling, or reading, you're giving it the chance to operate at peak efficiency. This kind of mental hygiene allows you to think clearer, make better decisions, and resist distractions more easily. Morning routines also help build consistency. On days when life feels chaotic, having a familiar structure to fall back on provides a sense of control and stability. When you anchor yourself with habits you can count on, even the most unpredictable days become manageable. The key elements of a powerful morning routine. A great morning routine doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. It should match your lifestyle, goals, and personality. However, there are a few core elements that consistently appear in the routines of high-performing individuals. 1. Wake up at the same time every day. Consistency is key when it comes to your circadian rhythm. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends, regulates your body's internal clock, improving sleep quality and energy levels. This consistency helps reduce decision fatigue because you're not constantly negotiating with yourself about when to wake up. 2. Hydrate first thing. After several hours without water, your body is naturally dehydrated in the morning. Drinking a glass of water immediately after waking up jumpstarts your metabolism, supports mental clarity, and helps flush out toxins. Some people even add lemon or apple cider vinegar for an extra boost. 3. Move your body. You don't need to run a marathon first thing in the morning, but some form of movement gets your blood flowing and wakes up your nervous system. Whether it's yoga, a short walk, or 5 minutes of stretching, physical activity increases oxygen flow to the brain and improves mood and cognitive function. 4. Mindful breathing or meditation. Just a few minutes of intentional breathing or meditation can change your entire mindset for the day. These practices reduce stress hormones, improve focus, and increase emotional resilience. Even 2 minutes of deep breathing can reset your nervous system and help you approach the day with calm confidence. 5. Set intentions for the day. Instead of diving straight into tasks, take a moment to reflect on your top priorities for the day. What do you want to accomplish? How do you want to show up for yourself and others? Writing down your intentions shifts your mindset from reaction to purposeful action. 6. Eat a nutrient-dense breakfast. Fueling your body with healthy fats, proteins, and slow-releasing carbohydrates stabilizes your blood sugar and sustains your energy throughout the morning. Skipping breakfast might seem efficient, but it often leads to cravings, irritability, and poor concentration later. 7. Limit digital distractions. Avoid checking your phone for the first 30 to 60 minutes of your day. Notifications pull your attention away from your goals and prime your brain for distraction. Instead, use that time to connect with yourself, read something inspiring, write in a journal, or simply enjoy silence. Start small and stay consistent. The biggest mistake people make when building a morning routine is trying to do too much too soon. Trying to incorporate a 5-part ritual overnight is overwhelming and unsustainable. Instead, pick 1 or 2 habits to start with, something as simple as drinking a glass of water and making your bed, and build from there. Consistency beats intensity. It's better to do a little every day than to try to do everything once in a while. Over time, those small actions compound into massive results. Real-life examples of morning routines. Many of the world's most successful people credit their morning routines as a cornerstone of their success. Consider these examples. Oprah Winfrey starts her day with gratitude journaling and meditation. Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek, swears by morning journaling and breathwork. Michelle Obama has spoken about how exercise early in the day helps her stay grounded and energized. Warren Buffett famously reads newspapers and drinks Coca-Cola first thing in the morning, his way of staying informed and starting his day calmly. These routines vary widely, but they all share one thing in common: they create a foundation for focus, clarity, and control. Building a solid morning routine isn't about being perfect, it's about being intentional. It's about creating a daily ritual that prepares your mind and body to do your best work, face challenges with calm, and live with purpose. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into one of the most powerful tools smart people use each morning: mindfulness and meditation. You'll learn how just a few minutes of focused breathing can rewire your brain for greater calm, clarity, and cognitive performance. For now, take a moment to reflect. What's one small habit you can add to your morning that would make a big difference? Because when you get your mornings right, the rest of your day tends to follow suit. Chapter 2: Read to solve problems, not just to feel smart. In the age of information overload, reading has become both more accessible and more fragmented. We scroll through headlines, skim summaries, and collect books we never finish, often in pursuit of a feeling, the satisfaction of appearing knowledgeable or the illusion of productivity. But smart people don't read just to feel smart. They read with purpose, to solve real problems, make better decisions, and gain practical insights that can be applied immediately. This chapter explores how to shift your mindset from passive consumption to intentional learning. It's not about how many books you've read, it's about how much value you've extracted from them. Because knowledge only becomes power when it leads to action. The problem with fake reading. It's easy to fall into the trap of what some call fake reading, skimming articles, watching book summary videos, or collecting audiobooks without ever truly engaging with the material. You might feel productive while consuming content, but if nothing changes in your behavior, thinking, or decision-making, then the reading hasn't served its highest purpose. Smart people avoid this trap by treating reading as a tool, not a hobby. They understand that the goal isn't to accumulate information for its own sake, but to find ideas that help them overcome challenges, improve their lives, and grow their minds. Reading with intent, the smart approach. To get the most out of reading, you have to approach it like a problem solver. That means 1. Start with a question. Before opening a book, article, or podcast transcript, ask yourself, what problem am I trying to solve? What question do I need answered? This simple step shifts your brain into active learning mode. Instead of passively absorbing words, you're searching for solutions. For example, if you're struggling with time management, look for books on productivity systems. If you're dealing with anxiety, seek out resources on cognitive behavioral techniques. If you want to build better relationships, dive into communication and emotional intelligence literature. When you read with a clear question in mind, you absorb and retain information differently. You're looking for relevance, not just entertainment. 2. Read less, but deeper. In our culture of hustle and self-improvement, there's pressure to read faster, longer, and more. But speed doesn't always equal understanding. Smart readers know that depth beats breadth. Instead of rushing through dozens of books in a year, focus on fully internalizing a few. Highlight key passages, take notes, and reflect on how the ideas apply to your life. Ask yourself, how can I use this tomorrow? One deeply understood concept is often more valuable than 10 half-remembered ones. 3. Apply what you learn immediately. The most powerful form of learning is doing. Smart people don't wait until they've finished an entire book to start applying what they've learned. They identify 1 or 2 actionable takeaways and implement them right away. Did you learn a new habit tracking method? Start using it today. Did you come across a technique for managing stress? Try it during your next tense moment. Knowledge only transforms when it moves from your head to your hands. 4. Create a personal knowledge system. Smart readers develop systems to organize and revisit what they've learned. Whether it's a physical journal, digital note-taking app, or voice memos, having a way to store and retrieve insights ensures that your learning compounds over time. Tools like Notion, Evernote, or even a simple bullet journal can help you track. Reviewing these regularly helps reinforce your learning and makes it easier to connect ideas across different sources. How to choose what to read. With so much content available, choosing what to read can feel overwhelming. Here are a few strategies smart people use to filter the noise. 1. Follow the experts. Find respected thinkers in fields that interest you and follow their recommendations. Often, they'll point you to foundational texts or lesser-known gems that are worth your time. 2. Use the 5-hour rule. Some of the world's most successful people, including Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, dedicate at least 5 hours per week to deliberate learning. That could mean reading, listening to podcasts, or engaging in deep conversations. Set aside regular time for focused learning, and protect it like any other important appointment. 3. Prioritize practical over theoretical. Unless you're in academia, prioritize books that offer actionable insights over those that simply sound impressive. Look for authors who've tested their ideas in real-world settings and provide concrete examples of how their advice works in practice. 4. Reread the classics. There's a reason certain books stand the test of time. They contain universal truths about human nature, leadership, decision-making, and growth. Revisiting foundational texts after gaining life experience often reveals new layers of meaning. Reading is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth, but only when done with intention. When you read to solve problems instead of just to feel smart, you begin to see every book, article, or podcast as a potential solution to a real-life challenge. So next time you pick up something to read, ask yourself, what problem am I trying to solve here? Then, commit to taking at least one meaningful action based on what you learn. Because in the end, the goal isn't to become a well-read person, it's to become a wiser, more capable one. Chapter 3. Ask questions that actually help you grow daily. The quality of your life is directly connected to the quality of the questions you ask. We often think of answers as the key to progress. After all, solving problems and making decisions usually requires knowing what to do next. But in reality, it's not just having answers that leads to growth, it's asking better, more insightful questions every day. Smart people don't necessarily know more than others, they simply ask more powerful questions. They're curious, reflective, and intentional about how they engage with their experiences, relationships, and challenges. And by doing so, they unlock new levels of self-awareness, creativity, and resilience. In this chapter, we'll explore why asking the right questions matters more than ever, and how you can use daily questioning as a tool for personal development, improved decision-making, and long-term success. Why asking the right questions matters. Most of us go through life on autopilot. We react to situations, follow routines, and rarely pause to examine our own thinking. But when you start asking yourself meaningful questions each day, you begin to take control of your mindset, habits, and direction. Questions are like mental tools. They shape how you see the world and what you choose to focus on. For example, if you ask, "Why does nothing ever work out for me?" you train your brain to look for evidence of failure. But if you ask, "What did I learn from today's challenges?" you shift into a growth-oriented mindset that looks for lessons instead of setbacks. This subtle shift can have a massive impact over time. The way you frame your questions determines the kind of thoughts you have, the emotions you feel, and ultimately, the actions you take. The power of self-inquiry. Self-inquiry, the act of asking yourself thoughtful questions, is one of the most underrated tools for personal growth. It helps you understand your motivations, uncover blind spots, and make decisions aligned with your values. Here are some ways smart people use self-inquiry to grow daily. 1. Clarify your intentions. Before diving into your day or tackling a big project, ask, "What is my goal here? Why am I doing this? What outcome am I truly after?" These questions help you stay focused on what matters, rather than getting distracted by urgency or external expectations. 2. Reflect on your progress. At the end of the day, take a few minutes to reflect. What went well today? What could I improve tomorrow? What did I learn? Reflection turns experience into insight. It allows you to course-correct quickly, build confidence, and reinforce positive habits. 3. Challenge limiting beliefs. We all carry subconscious beliefs that hold us back. Smart people regularly question these assumptions. Is this belief really true? Where did this belief come from? How is this belief helping or hurting me? By examining your inner narrative, you open the door to change and growth. 4. Explore possibilities. Instead of accepting things as they are, ask, "What if I tried something completely different? What would someone I admire do in this situation? What's one small step I can take toward this bigger goal?" These types of questions spark creativity, reduce overwhelm, and encourage action. The best daily questions to ask yourself. To help you get started, here are some high-impact questions you can incorporate into your morning or evening routine. Morning questions, to set the tone for your day. What am I grateful for today? What's one thing I want to accomplish today that will make me proud? How do I want to show up today, in my work, relationships, and mindset? Evening questions, to reflect and grow. What did I learn today? Did I stay aligned with my values and goals? What could I do differently tomorrow? Growth-oriented questions, for deeper reflection. Am I afraid of this challenge because it's risky, or because it might reveal my weaknesses? What would I try if I knew I couldn't fail? Who do I need to become to achieve my goals? How to make questioning a habit. Like any skill, asking better questions takes practice. Here's how to build this habit into your daily life. 1. Schedule time for reflection. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes each morning or night to journal or quietly reflect using a set of guiding questions. Over time, this becomes a powerful ritual for clarity and growth. 2. Write down your answers. Journaling forces you to slow down and process your thoughts more deeply. It also gives you a record of your progress, which you can revisit to track patterns and breakthroughs. 3. Stay curious, not judgmental. Approach your questions with curiosity rather than criticism. Instead of asking, "Why did I mess up again?" try asking, "What caused that result, and how can I improve?" Curiosity opens doors. Judgment closes them. 4. Ask better questions in conversations. Don't limit your questioning power to internal reflection. Use it in conversations too. Can you tell me more about how that works? What led you to make that decision? What would success look like in this situation? Asking thoughtful questions builds trust, deepens understanding, and fosters collaboration. Growth doesn't always come from grand actions. It often starts with a single, well-placed question. The people who consistently improve their lives aren't necessarily the ones with all the answers, they're the ones who keep asking better questions. When you develop the habit of questioning your assumptions, exploring possibilities, and reflecting on your choices, you begin to see life as a continuous learning journey, not a series of fixed outcomes. So, tomorrow morning, before reaching for your phone or diving into your to-do list, pause and ask yourself, what question do I need to ask myself today to grow? Because the right question at the right time has the power to change everything. Chapter 4. Write down what matters and review it nightly. In a world overflowing with information, distractions, and constant motion, it's easy to lose track of what truly matters. You may have big goals, important priorities, and meaningful intentions, but if they're not written down and regularly reviewed, they remain abstract ideas floating in your mind. And when that happens, they rarely turn into action. Smart people understand this. That's why they write things down, not just to remember, but to clarify, prioritize, and hold themselves accountable. Writing is not just for communication, it's a powerful tool for thinking, planning, and growing. This chapter will show you how to use writing as a daily habit to sharpen your focus, improve your decision-making, and make consistent progress toward the life you want. Why writing works. There's something uniquely powerful about putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard that simply thinking doesn't provide. The act of writing forces clarity. It slows you down enough to process complex thoughts, filter out noise, and identify what's essential. Research shows that writing by hand activates parts of the brain associated with memory, comprehension, and learning. Even typing or dictating has cognitive benefits over mental note-taking alone. Here's what happens when you write. It clears your mind. Writing gets thoughts out of your head and onto a page, reducing mental clutter. It improves retention. You remember more of what you write than what you only think or hear. It builds self-awareness. Writing reveals patterns in your thinking, emotions, and behaviors. It creates accountability. When you write something down, you're more likely to follow through. Writing isn't just about recording, it's about creating structure for your life. The power of daily reflection. Smart people don't just write, they review. They know that growth doesn't happen from doing something once, but from reflecting on it, adjusting, and improving. Daily reflection through writing allows you to celebrate small wins, learn from mistakes, identify habits that help or hurt, track progress toward long-term goals. Without regular review, you risk repeating the same errors, missing opportunities for improvement, and losing sight of what you're working toward. Think of it like checking your GPS while driving. You can stay on course, adjust your route, and arrive at your destination faster. How to build a nightly writing habit. Creating a nightly writing ritual doesn't need to be complicated or time-consuming. In fact, 5 minutes a night can change your life, if done consistently. Here's a simple framework to get started. Step 1. Choose your tool. Whether it's a physical journal, a digital notes app, or voice memos, find a method that works for you and stick with it. Consistency is more important than format. Step 2. Set a time. Pick a time each night, ideally before bed, to reflect. This helps you close the day with intention and prepares your mind for rest. Step 3. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Start with these 3 powerful prompts to guide your reflection. What went well today? Recognizing successes, no matter how small, builds confidence and motivation. It trains your brain to look for the positive, even on tough days. What could I have done better? This isn't about criticism, it's about curiosity. Asking this question helps you spot patterns, learn from setbacks, and improve gradually. What am I grateful for? Gratitude rewires your brain to focus on abundance rather than lack. It reduces stress, increases happiness, and improves relationships. Step 4. Keep it short and honest. Don't worry about grammar, spelling, or perfection. Just write freely and truthfully. The goal is insight, not eloquence. Bonus, add goal tracking to your routine. If you want to go deeper, add a weekly or monthly review session where you look back at your nightly entries and ask, am I making progress on my goals? What habits are helping me succeed? What obstacles keep showing up, and how can I overcome them? You might also write down one key intention for tomorrow. This gives your next day purposeful direction from the start. Real-life examples. Some of the most successful people in history were dedicated writers. Benjamin Franklin kept a daily journal tracking his progress on 13 virtues he wanted to master. Oprah Winfrey credits gratitude journaling as a foundational habit in her personal growth journey. Warren Buffett spends hours each day reading and writing, which fuels his strategic thinking and long-term success. Maya Angelou wrote every morning, using the practice to process her experiences and fuel her creativity. These individuals didn't become great because they wrote, they became great by writing. It gave them clarity, discipline, and a way to refine their thinking. Writing is one of the simplest yet most transformative habits you can adopt. When you write down what matters and review it nightly, you begin to see your life more clearly. You stop drifting and start directing. You'll notice patterns, catch yourself slipping into old habits, and celebrate the progress you're making, even when it feels slow. So tonight, before you close your eyes, take 5 minutes to write. Ask yourself, what went well? What could I do better? What am I grateful for? And tomorrow, let those reflections guide your choices. Because when you write down your life, you begin to shape it, intentionally, powerfully, and with purpose. Chapter 5. Cut out lazy habits that waste your brain power. Smart people aren't just born, they're made. And one of the most powerful ways they stay sharp is by eliminating habits that drain their mental energy. Your brain has a finite amount of willpower and focus each day. When you waste it on mindless routines, distractions, or emotional triggers, you leave less room for the things that really matter, like creative thinking, problem solving, and meaningful progress toward your goals. In this chapter, we'll explore the lazy habits that quietly steal your brain power every day, and how to replace them with smarter choices that free up your mind, improve your productivity, and help you live more intentionally. What are lazy habits? When we talk about lazy habits, we're not referring to sleeping in or occasionally skipping the gym. We're talking about behaviors that sap your mental clarity, erode your discipline, and keep you operating on autopilot. These are the habits that feel easy in the moment but cost you dearly in the long run. They're the silent thieves of time, energy, and potential. Here are some of the most common culprits. 1. Endless scrolling on social media. You wake up, grab your phone, and before you know it, an hour is gone. You didn't even realize you were doing it, you just got pulled into the endless stream of updates, videos, memes, and news alerts. This kind of passive consumption rewires your brain to crave instant gratification. It fragments your attention, lowers your mood, and makes it harder to focus on deeper work later in the day. The fix. Designate no phone zones and times, e.g., first hour of the morning, during meals. Uninstall apps you don't truly need. Replace scrolling with reading, journaling, or movement. Use app blockers like freedom or screen time settings to limit access. 2. Reacting instead of responding. Do you find yourself instantly reacting to texts, emails, or comments before fully understanding what's being said? Or getting emotionally triggered by something online and spending hours ruminating over it? This habit keeps your brain in survival mode, constantly reacting instead of thinking clearly. It wastes precious cognitive resources and leads to poor decisions, unnecessary stress, and burnout. The fix. Practice pausing before responding. Ask yourself, is this worth my mental energy? Create space between stimulus and response with mindfulness techniques like deep breathing or short meditation breaks. 3. Multitasking, in its many forms. Trying to do 5 things at once might make you feel productive, but research shows it actually reduces efficiency, increases errors, and exhausts your brain faster. Multitasking forces your brain to constantly switch contexts, which burns up mental fuel without producing meaningful results. The fix. Focus on one task at a time. Turn off notifications while working. Batch similar tasks together instead of jumping around. Use tools like the Pomodoro technique to stay focused on single priorities. 4. Living without boundaries. Letting other people's demands, expectations, or drama dominate your thoughts is a fast track to mental exhaustion. Saying yes to everything, worrying about what others think, and tolerating negative influences all eat away at your mental bandwidth. The fix: learn to say no to low-value commitments. Set clear boundaries around your time and energy. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not drain you. Protect your peace by limiting exposure to toxic conversations and environments. 5. Neglecting physical health. Your brain doesn't operate in isolation, it's deeply connected to your body. Skipping exercise, eating poorly, staying up late, and not drinking enough water all have a direct impact on your cognitive function. A tired, sluggish body equals a foggy, unfocused mind. The fix: prioritize sleep, aim for 7 to 9 hours per night. Eat nutrient-dense foods that support brain health, omega-3s, antioxidants, complex carbs. Move your body daily, even a 10-minute walk helps. Stay hydrated, your brain is 75% water. 6. Overthinking and rumination. Some people get stuck in cycles of worry, replaying past events or imagining worst-case scenarios. This mental habit feels like problem-solving, but it's actually just spinning your wheels. Overthinking drains your brain power by keeping you trapped in emotional loops instead of taking action. The fix: write down your worries to externalize them. Set a time limit for decision-making or reflection. Shift from thinking to doing. Ask, what's one step I can take right now? 7. Mindless consumption of low-quality content. Watching reality TV, binging YouTube videos, or endlessly consuming clickbait headlines might feel relaxing, but it's often a form of mental junk food. Over time, it dulls your curiosity, lowers your critical thinking skills, and replaces high-value learning with noise. The fix: be selective about what you consume. Choose content that educates, inspires, or challenges you. Replace passive entertainment with active engagement, reading, writing, learning a new skill. The brain is like a battery, use it wisely. Think of your mental energy as a battery that gets used up throughout the day. Every decision, distraction, and emotional reaction uses up some charge. If you fill your day with useless habits that drain your brain, you won't have enough left for the things that truly matter. Smart people protect their brain power like gold. They eliminate distractions, automate good habits, and invest their mental energy where it counts. How to start cutting lazy habits. Identify the habit. Track your behavior for a few days. What steals your time? What leaves you feeling drained? Understand the trigger. Most lazy habits are responses to boredom, stress, or fatigue. Figure out what causes the behavior. Replace, don't just remove. Don't try to stop the habit cold turkey. Replace it with a better alternative, e.g., meditate instead of scrolling. Start small. Focus on one habit at a time. Mastery comes through consistency, not intensity. Make it harder to do the old way. Remove temptation. Put your phone in another room, delete distracting apps, set screen time limits. Being smart isn't just about IQ or formal education, it's about how well you manage your attention, energy, and habits. The best way to sharpen your mind isn't to cram more information in, it's to stop wasting what you already have. Cutting out lazy habits gives your brain more room to breathe, create, learn, and grow. It's not about perfection, it's about intentionality. So ask yourself, which habit am I willing to cut today to reclaim my mental power tomorrow? Because the sharper your mind stays, the farther you'll go. Chapter 6. Learn from your own life and not just books. There's a common misconception that knowledge only comes from books, courses, or lectures, that wisdom is something you acquire externally. But the truth is, some of the most valuable lessons come not from what you read, but from what you live. Every day presents opportunities to learn from your choices, your mistakes, your relationships, and your experiences. The smartest people don't just absorb information, they reflect on their lives and extract meaning from them. In this chapter, we'll explore how to become a student of your own life. You'll discover how to turn everyday moments into learning opportunities, build deeper self-awareness, and use personal experience as a powerful tool for growth. Wisdom begins with reflection. You've probably heard the saying, experience is the best teacher. But experience alone isn't enough. What matters is how you interpret it. Think about it. Two people can go through the exact same event. One walks away frustrated and bitter, while the other walks away wiser and stronger. The difference? One reflects, the other doesn't. Smart people treat life like a lab. They run experiments, observe outcomes, adjust strategies, and repeat. Instead of letting life happen to them, they actively engage with it, asking, "What did I learn from this? How did I show up in that situation? What could I do differently next time?" This kind of reflection turns every challenge into a lesson and every failure into feedback. Why real-life learning matters more than ever. We live in an age where access to information has never been easier. We can listen to TED Talks during our commute, take online courses in our pajamas, and read summaries of entire books in minutes. But all this external input means nothing if it doesn't connect to your real-world application. Here's why learning from your own life is so powerful. 1. It builds emotional intelligence. When you reflect on your actions and reactions, you develop a better understanding of yourself and others. This builds empathy, improves communication, and strengthens relationships. 2. It increases self-awareness. By observing your patterns and behaviors, you begin to see what truly motivates you, what holds you back, and what brings out the best version of yourself. 3. It leads to practical growth. Life-based learning gives you insights that are directly relevant to your goals and challenges. Unlike abstract theories, these lessons are tested in real time and tailored to your unique journey. 4. It makes you resilient. When you view setbacks as learning opportunities instead of failures, you develop mental toughness. You stop fearing mistakes and start embracing them as part of the process. How smart people learn from their lives. High performers don't wait for formal education to grow. They create their own curriculum by paying attention to what happens every day. Here's how they do it. 1. They keep a personal journal. Journaling isn't just for writers, it's for thinkers. By writing down daily experiences, emotions, and observations, you begin to spot trends, identify triggers, and understand what works and what doesn't. Start with simple prompts. What happened today? How did I feel about it? What did I learn? Over time, your journal becomes a map of your inner world. 2. They ask themselves hard questions. Smart people don't shy away from uncomfortable truths. They ask questions like, why did I react that way? What role did I play in this outcome? Am I making the same mistake again? What would I tell my younger self about this? These questions force honesty and promote deep insight. 3. They celebrate small wins. Growth doesn't always come from big events. Sometimes, it's the small decisions, like staying calm in a stressful moment or choosing kindness over anger, that teach the biggest lessons. Smart people recognize these wins and use them as fuel for future progress. 4. They analyze their mistakes without judgment. Everyone makes mistakes, but few people examine them objectively. Smart individuals look at their errors like scientists. They ask, what caused this result? Was it a lack of knowledge, preparation, or mindset? What can I do differently next time? This approach removes shame and replaces it with curiosity. Turn everyday moments into lessons. You don't need a crisis or a dramatic life event to learn something meaningful. Some of the most important lessons come from ordinary moments. A difficult conversation teaches you about communication. A missed deadline reveals a flaw in your time management. An argument shows you where your boundaries are weak. A quiet morning helps you reconnect with your values. The key is to pay attention, not just to what happens, but to how you respond to it. Here's how to make it a habit. 1. Schedule daily reflection time. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes each night to reflect on your day. Think of it as a debrief meeting with yourself. Ask, what went well? What didn't go well? What did I learn? 2. Use journal prompts. If you're not sure where to start, use guided prompts like, what surprised me today? What challenged me? What am I carrying emotionally right now? What decision am I proud of? 3. Review weekly. Once a week, look back at your daily entries. Do you notice any patterns? Any repeated struggles or breakthroughs? This weekly review helps you stay aligned with your goals and catch issues before they become habits. 4. Talk it out. Sometimes, discussing your experiences with a trusted friend, mentor, or coach helps you gain new perspectives. Talking things out forces clarity and often leads to unexpected insights. Books and courses offer great frameworks, but real wisdom comes from lived experience. When you start treating your life as a classroom, you begin to see every interaction, challenge, and setback as a chance to grow. Learning from your own life doesn't require special tools or expensive programs. It requires presence, honesty, and the willingness to ask yourself hard questions. So tonight, before you close your eyes, pause and ask, what did I learn today? What will I do differently tomorrow? Because the more you learn from your life, the smarter and more intentional you become. Chapter 7. Spend time with people who talk about progress. You are the average of the people you surround yourself with. This idea, popularized by motivational speaker Jim Rohn, holds more truth than many realize. The conversations you engage in, the values you're exposed to, and the goals others pursue all shape your mindset, often without you even noticing. Smart people understand this deeply. That's why they intentionally choose to spend time with those who talk about progress, not just problems, who focus on solutions, not just complaints, and who challenge them to think bigger, act wiser, and aim higher. In this chapter, we'll explore how the company you keep influences your growth, and how surrounding yourself with forward-thinking individuals can accelerate your own development. Why conversations shape your mind. The brain is wired for social learning. From childhood, we absorb language, values, beliefs, and behaviors through interaction. Even as adults, our thinking patterns shift based on the people we spend the most time with. Consider this. If you regularly talk with people who complain, you'll start to see obstacles before opportunities. If you hang out with those who avoid risk, you may unconsciously adopt a fear-based mindset. But if you're around people who talk about their goals, challenges, and lessons learned, you begin to think like them too. Your environment doesn't just influence your mood, it rewires your brain over time. The difference between problem talk and progress talk. There's nothing wrong with venting or discussing difficulties, but when that becomes the norm, it shapes your worldview. Smart people know the difference between talking about problems and talking toward solutions. Here's the distinction. Problem talk focuses on what went wrong, while progress talk focuses on what was learned. Problem talk assigns blame or complains, while progress talk looks for next steps. Problem talk stays stuck in the past, while progress talk plans for the future. Problem talk feeds frustration, while progress talk sparks motivation. When you spend time with people who default to progress talk, you train yourself to think the same way, even when things don't go perfectly. How to identify people who drive growth. Not everyone you meet will push you toward your best self. But some people naturally do. Here's how to spot them. 1. They ask thoughtful questions. Instead of small talk, they ask, what have you been working on lately? What's one thing you want to improve this year? How did that project turn out? They're curious about your growth, not just your drama. 2. They share what they're learning. Rather than gossip or complain, they bring up books, podcasts, courses, or insights from their experiences. Their conversations add value to your day. 3. They challenge you gently. They're not afraid to give honest feedback or ask hard questions. Not in a judgmental way, but in a way that helps you level up. 4. They celebrate wins, big and small. They notice progress, acknowledge effort, and help you stay motivated. Being around them makes you feel capable, not insecure. The power of accountability partnerships. One of the most effective ways smart people grow is by forming accountability partnerships, relationships where both people support each other's goals, check in on progress, and hold each other to high standards. These aren't just friends, they're collaborators in personal development. Whether it's weekly check-ins, shared goals, or mutual encouragement, these relationships create momentum. Here's how to build one. Find someone who shares your values and goals. Agree on regular check-ins, weekly or bi-weekly. Be honest, encouraging, and supportive. Track progress together and celebrate wins. Even just one person who consistently talks about progress can change the trajectory of your life. Create a culture of growth around you. You don't have to overhaul your entire social circle overnight. Start small. Join online communities focused on learning, productivity, or skill building. Attend events or workshops where people gather around shared interests. Follow thought leaders, podcasters, or writers who inspire action. Replace passive scrolling with intentional conversations. Over time, you'll find yourself surrounded by more people who talk about growth, and fewer who drain your energy with negativity. The cost of settling for less. Staying in environments filled with pessimism, gossip, or stagnation has real consequences. It dulls your ambition. It normalizes excuses. It makes you settle for less than you deserve. But when you choose to invest your time in people who talk about progress, you begin to internalize their mindset. You become more proactive, solution-oriented, and resilient. You don't need a crowd of hundreds, just a few key people who believe in growth, speak about progress, and challenge you to be better. Surround yourself with those who talk less about what's wrong and more about what's possible. Because the conversations you have today shape the thoughts you think tomorrow, and ultimately, the life you build. So ask yourself, who do I spend the most time with? Do they pull me forward, or hold me back? Who could I connect with that would push me to grow? Because being smart isn't just about reading the right books, it's about choosing the right people. Chapter 8, Act fast on ideas before they disappear forever. Ideas are like fireflies, brilliant, fleeting, and easily lost if you don't act quickly. You've probably had moments when a great idea struck you out of nowhere. Maybe it was during your morning coffee, in the shower, or right before falling asleep. You thought, that's genius. And then, nothing. By the next day, the idea was gone. Forgotten. Lost to the noise of daily life. Smart people understand this truth better than anyone: ideas have an expiration date. And if you don't act fast, they vanish forever. In this chapter, we'll explore why speed matters when it comes to ideas, how to capture inspiration before it slips away, and the habits that help smart people turn thoughts into action before momentum fades. The shelf life of an idea. An idea only has value when it leads to action. Left unattended, even the most brilliant insight becomes useless. Here's what happens when you delay. Motivation fades. Enthusiasm is strongest in the first few hours after an idea appears. Clarity disappears. Details get fuzzy. Nuance gets lost. Momentum stalls. Distractions take over, new tasks, responsibilities, and interruptions push the idea aside. Doubt creeps in. Was that really a good idea? You wonder. Suddenly, it doesn't seem so brilliant anymore. This is why smart people don't wait for the perfect time to act. They know there isn't one. Instead, they move fast, even imperfectly, because done is better than perfect. Why smart people act fast? High performers don't necessarily have more ideas than others, they just do something with them. Here's how they make it happen. 1. They capture ideas immediately. Smart people always carry a way to record their thoughts, whether it's a pocket notebook, a note-taking app, or a voice memo. They know that waiting to write something down means risking losing it entirely. One simple habit: keep a notepad by your bed, in your bag, or open on your phone at all times. 2. They take the first step, even if it's small. You don't need a full plan to start. Just take the smallest possible action. Write down the idea. Do a quick Google search. Send yourself a reminder. Tell someone about it. Action fuels motivation. Once you begin, the next steps become clearer. 3. They avoid overthinking. Many people kill ideas by analyzing them too early. They ask, is this realistic? What if I fail? Do I have enough time or resources? Smart people save those questions for later. First, they simply act. Then, they evaluate. 4. They build systems that support action. Smart people design routines that encourage creativity and execution. A dedicated brainstorming time each week. A place to store and review ideas regularly. Accountability check-ins with a friend or mentor. These systems ensure that no idea goes to waste. How to turn your ideas into reality, fast. Here's a step-by-step process to help you act on your best thinking before it slips away. Step 1. Capture it instantly. As soon as an idea hits you, write it down. Don't trust your memory. Use whatever method works best for you. Notes app. Voice recorder. Sticky notes. A journal. Pro tip, label or tag your ideas so you can find them later, e.g., business, creative, personal growth. Step 2. Give it 5 minutes. Set a timer for 5 minutes and explore the idea further. Ask, why did this idea come to me? What problem does it solve? What's the simplest way to test it? This small investment often reveals whether the idea is worth pursuing, or if it was just a passing thought. Step 3. Take one concrete action. Don't let the idea sit in a list. Do something, no matter how small. Email yourself a reminder. Share the idea with a friend for feedback. Book a meeting with yourself to work on it. Start drafting a plan. Action creates clarity. Clarity leads to progress. Step 4. Review weekly. Once a week, go through your idea bank and ask, which ideas still excite me? Which ones could be tested or explored now? Which ones should I let go of? This keeps your mind clear and your energy focused on what matters most. Real-life examples of fast action. Some of the world's greatest achievements started with a single idea, and the courage to act on it quickly. James Altucher, author and entrepreneur, writes down 10 ideas every single morning, even if they seem ridiculous. He says this habit has led to some of his most successful projects. Seth Godin, marketing guru, publishes new blog posts almost every day, not because he waits for inspiration, but because he acts on ideas immediately. Elon Musk didn't wait years to launch SpaceX or Tesla. He acted fast on bold ideas, even when the path wasn't fully clear. None of these people waited for the perfect moment. They took action and kept going. The cost of waiting too long. Every idea you delay costs you time. The longer you wait, the harder it is to remember the full potential of the idea. Energy. Delayed ideas lose their emotional charge, making them less motivating. Opportunity. Someone else might beat you to it. Confidence. When you ignore your own ideas, you train yourself to doubt them. Eventually, you stop having big ideas altogether. But when you act fast, you build a powerful habit, trusting your instincts, honoring your creativity, and proving to yourself that you can bring ideas to life. Your brain is constantly generating insights, solutions, and opportunities. But unless you act on them, they're wasted. Smart people don't wait for the stars to align. They don't overthink. They don't hesitate. They capture, reflect, and act fast. So next time an idea strikes, don't let it slip away. Grab it. Write it down. Take one tiny step toward making it real. Because the difference between a dream and a result is action. And the best time to act? Right now. Chapter 9. Teach others so your knowledge becomes stronger. There's an old saying, if you want to truly understand something, teach it to someone else. And it turns out, science agrees. Teaching is one of the most powerful ways to deepen your own understanding, retain information longer, and refine your thinking. Smart people know this secret. They don't just absorb knowledge, they share it. And in doing so, they reinforce their own learning, uncover gaps in their understanding, and grow far beyond what passive learning could ever offer. In this chapter, we'll explore why teaching others is such a powerful habit, how it sharpens your mind, and how you can start using this strategy, whether you're a beginner or an expert. Why teaching makes you smarter. Most people think of learning as a solo activity. You read, listen, watch, or study. But real mastery comes when you shift from being a consumer of knowledge to a creator of understanding. Here's how teaching supercharges your brain. 1. It forces clarity. When you try to explain something to someone else, you quickly realize what you actually understand, and what you only think you understand. Teaching demands precision, structure, and simplicity. You can't hide behind vague ideas or memorized facts. You have to break things down into digestible parts. That process alone deepens your comprehension. 2. It improves memory retention. Studies show that people who teach others remember significantly more than those who simply reread or review material. The act of organizing and articulating knowledge strengthens neural pathways, making it easier to recall later. This is known as the protégé effect, a psychological phenomenon where teaching increases your own learning. 3. It reveals gaps in your understanding. Sometimes, you think you know something until you try to explain it. Then, you hit a wall. That's not a failure, it's feedback. It shows you exactly where you need to dig deeper and learn more. Teaching exposes weaknesses in your knowledge and gives you a clear path for improvement. 4. It builds communication skills. Smart people aren't just knowledgeable, they're able to communicate their ideas clearly and persuasively. Teaching hones your ability to speak with confidence, simplify complex topics, and connect with different audiences. These are skills that translate directly into leadership, influence, and career growth. 5. It reinforces discipline and accountability. When you commit to teaching someone else, whether it's a friend, a coworker, or an online audience, you create accountability for yourself. You're no longer just learning for fun, you're preparing to deliver value. That mindset drives consistency, focus, and depth. How smart people use teaching to grow. High performers don't wait until they're experts to start sharing what they know. They understand that teaching is part of the learning process, not the end result. Here are some of the ways smart people use teaching to strengthen their knowledge. 1. They journal like a teacher. Even if they're not speaking in front of a class, they write like they're explaining concepts to someone else. This forces clarity and helps them organize their thoughts more effectively. Try this. After reading a book or article, write a summary as if you were going to teach it. Explain the key idea in simple language. Identify the main takeaways and how they apply to real life. 2. They mentor or coach others. Mentorship doesn't require formal credentials. It just requires the willingness to help someone else grow. Whether it's guiding a junior colleague, helping a friend with a new skill, or tutoring students, mentoring builds both empathy and expertise. 3. They record and share their learning. Many high achievers keep learning journals, video logs, or blogs where they document what they've learned. Some even create short videos or audio clips explaining concepts to themselves or others. Sharing your insights publicly creates pressure to get things right, and that pressure makes you smarter. 4. They ask themselves, how would I teach this? Before finalizing their understanding of a topic, smart people ask, how would I explain this to a child? What analogy could make this easier to grasp? What questions might someone have about this? These kinds of questions force them to think critically and deeply. Real-life examples of teaching-driven growth. Some of the most respected thinkers, entrepreneurs, and leaders built their success by consistently teaching what they learned. Richard Feynman, Nobel Prize-winning physicist, developed the famous Feynman technique, which involves learning by teaching a concept in simple terms. Naval Ravikant, entrepreneur and investor, gained massive influence by distilling complex ideas into short, powerful statements, effectively teaching through Twitter/X. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, grew his influence by writing daily emails and blog posts that taught readers how to build better habits, one post at a time. Mr. Beast, YouTube sensation, started by teaching viewers simple challenges and evolved into one of the most creative minds in digital content, all while learning through trial and error. None of these individuals waited until they had all the answers. They shared what they knew, refined their ideas through feedback, and grew along the way. Start teaching, no matter where you are. You don't need a platform, a degree, or perfect knowledge to begin teaching. All you need is the desire to learn, and the willingness to share. Here are a few ways to start. 1. Explain concepts out loud. Talk through ideas as if you were teaching them. You can do this alone, like a self-talk session, or record yourself on video or voice memo. 2. Write summaries. After learning something new, write a short explanation for someone who knows nothing about the topic. Keep it simple and conversational. 3. Share insights with friends. Next time you read a great article or hear an interesting podcast, summarize it for a friend. You'll retain more, and they'll appreciate the insight. 4. Create content online. Start a blog, a social media thread, or a YouTube channel. Even if you only reach a few people at first, the act of creating will sharpen your mind and improve your communication. 5. Find a peer to learn with. Pair up with someone who wants to learn the same thing. Take turns teaching each other. You'll both grow faster and hold each other accountable. Knowledge is only valuable when it's understood, applied, and shared. When you teach others, you're not just helping them, you're strengthening your own mind, reinforcing your learning, and building a habit of continuous growth. Smart people don't hoard knowledge, they spread it. And in the process, they become even smarter. So next time you learn something useful, don't keep it to yourself. Say it out loud. Write it down. Explain it to someone else. Because the moment you teach it, you own it forever. Chapter 10. End each day by fixing one weak spot. Growth doesn't always come from big leaps or dramatic overhauls. More often than not, it comes from small, consistent improvements, tiny corrections that, over time, lead to massive transformation. And one of the most powerful ways smart people grow every day is by ending each day with a simple question. What's one weak spot I can fix today? In this chapter, we'll explore how identifying and improving just one small flaw, mistake, or inefficiency each night leads to lasting progress. You'll learn why this habit builds confidence, reduces overwhelm, and keeps you moving forward even when growth feels slow. The power of micro-improvements. We often think of personal development as something that requires grand plans, new habits, or life-changing moments. But real growth happens in the quiet moments of reflection and refinement. Think of it like this: if you make one small improvement every day, after 365 days, you've made over 365 changes for the better. That's compound growth. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. Smart people understand this. They know that fixing one weak spot each day isn't about fixing themselves. It's about optimizing their process, refining their approach, and building momentum. Why ending your day with reflection matters. Your brain processes and stores memories more effectively at night. That's why reflecting before bed is such a powerful habit. It helps you consolidate what worked, what didn't, and what you can do differently tomorrow. Ending your day by fixing one weak spot does 3 things. 1. It keeps you curious. Instead of seeing mistakes as failures, you see them as feedback. This mindset shift turns setbacks into learning opportunities, and makes growth feel natural instead of forced. 2. It reduces overwhelm. Trying to fix everything at once leads to burnout. But focusing on just one thing gives you clarity, control, and a sense of accomplishment. 3. It builds confidence. Every time you identify a problem and take action to solve it, you prove to yourself that you're capable of change. And that builds unstoppable self-belief over time. How smart people practice daily correction. They don't wait for major milestones or perfect conditions. Instead, they use a few simple practices to spot and fix daily flaws. 1. They ask themselves the right questions. At the end of the day, they pause and ask, what didn't go well today? Where did I struggle or fall short? What could I improve for tomorrow? These questions help them zoom in on one specific opportunity for growth. 2. They write it down. They don't just think about it, they write it down. This forces clarity and creates a record of their progress. Even a single sentence in a journal can be enough. Examples. I got distracted by my phone during work hours. I reacted emotionally in a meeting. I need to pause before speaking next time. I skipped a healthy meal and felt sluggish. Plan better tomorrow. 3. They create a small action plan. Once they've identified a weak spot, they create a tiny, actionable step to fix it. Put my phone in another room while working. Take a deep breath before responding in meetings. Pack a healthy snack ahead of time. This small plan ensures that their reflection leads to actual change. 4. They review weekly. Each week, they look back at their notes and ask, am I making the same mistake repeatedly? Which patterns keep showing up? What weaknesses have already improved? This weekly review helps them adjust strategy and celebrate progress. Real-life examples of daily fixes. Some of the most successful people in history built routines around daily reflection and correction. Benjamin Franklin famously tracked his progress on 13 virtues he wanted to master. He reviewed his behavior each night and focused on fixing one flaw at a time. Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek, uses a nightly journaling ritual to evaluate decisions, eliminate waste, and refine his goals. Warren Buffett spends hours each day reading and reflecting, not to find quick fixes, but to gradually sharpen his thinking over decades. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson credits much of his success to discipline and consistency, including nightly reflection on performance and preparation. None of these individuals became great because they avoided failure. They became great because they learned from it, one small adjustment at a time. You don't need to overhaul your entire life to grow. You just need to fix one thing every day. Ending each day by identifying and addressing a weak spot keeps you honest, humble, and always improving. It turns mistakes into lessons, confusion into clarity, and effort into results. So tonight, before you close your eyes, take 1 minute to reflect. What's one weak spot from today? What caused it? What small action can I take tomorrow to fix it? Then, write it down. Act on it. Watch how those tiny daily fixes add up to massive long-term growth. Because the best version of you isn't waiting for some future moment of inspiration, the best version of you grows slowly, steadily, and intentionally, one small correction at a time. Conclusion: grow every day, without waiting for motivation. If you've made it this far, congratulations, you've just invested in one of the most powerful tools for long-term success, your mind. The habits we've explored throughout this book aren't about perfection. They're about intentionality. About making small, smart choices every day that compound into meaningful growth over time. Let's recap what it means to be smarter every day. Start strong in the morning, not because you're a morning person, but because you know how important it is to set the tone. Read with purpose, not just to feel informed, but to solve real problems and improve your thinking. Ask better questions, because curiosity unlocks clarity, creativity, and confidence. Write down what matters, so your thoughts don't get lost in the noise of daily life. Cut out lazy habits, not because you're disciplined all the time, but because you know where your energy goes, and you protect it fiercely. Learn from your own life, because wisdom doesn't only come from books, it comes from reflection, experience, and honest self-assessment. Surround yourself with progress-minded people, because the conversations you have shape the person you become. Act fast on ideas, because inspiration fades if you let it sit. Teach others, because the best way to master something is to explain it clearly to someone else. Fix one weak spot each night, because growth doesn't require massive change, it requires consistent, thoughtful correction. These are not quick fixes. They're lifestyle upgrades for your brain, your habits, and your future. The secret no one talks about. Here's the truth: smart people don't wake up smarter every day by accident. They design their lives around learning, reflection, and action. They build systems, not just goals. They create routines that support growth, even when they don't feel like it. Because they know motivation is unreliable. Discipline is not. And discipline isn't about pushing yourself harder, it's about setting up your environment, your habits, and your mindset so that growth becomes automatic. What will you do with this? You now have access to the same tools that high-performing people use to stay sharp, focused, and ahead of the curve. But knowledge without action is wasted potential. So here's your challenge. Pick one habit from this book to start tomorrow. Commit to it for 30 days. Track your progress. Reflect nightly. Watch how it changes your mindset, your focus, and your results. Then, add another. And another. Before you know it, you'll be living a life where growth isn't something you chase, it's something you live. Because when you commit to being smarter every day, you become the person who makes smarter decisions. Who handles stress with more calm. Who sees opportunities others miss. Who builds a life filled with progress, purpose, and possibility. This book was never meant to be the end of your learning, it's meant to be the beginning of your doing. So take what resonates. Start small. Be consistent. And remember, you don't need to be perfect to grow, you just need to keep going. Thank you for reading smarter every day. Now go out there and prove it, with your actions, your habits, and your daily choices. Because tomorrow is waiting, and it's already smarter than today.